Hi, I'm Denise Lee, and I am the social justice strategist for the Dallas Children's Theater. And I want to welcome you tonight to our screening of 10 Seconds by Miriam Gonzalez. This play was written to hopefully open a dialogue between young people, their families, and the Dallas Police Department, and police departments all across the country. In light of the climate and the circumstances that we find have been happening across country, this dialogue is incredibly necessary and very important and in building relationships. And so we thank you for being here tonight to watch this. We hope you are watching it with your family. After we watch the play tonight, we are going to have a discussion with panelists here from the Dallas Police Department, from members of the community, and from one of our partners in this endeavor. And so I want to introduce you now to welcome to the screen, Cry Havoc's chair-elect, Lucas Shelton. Hi, Lucas.
Hi, Denise.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. First, I want to thank you and thank Cry Havoc for being a partner with us in this endeavor. I know that you all do some incredible work. Why don't you tell people a little bit about Cry Havoc and your mission?
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you again for hosting us. And a special thank you to Dallas Children's Theater and the Dallas Police Department for including us on this partnership. So very excited to be working with you. So Cry Havoc really has a vision of a more empathic and equitable world. And we look to achieve that by creating art that amplifies the voices of young people and serves as a conduit for community dialogue. So we really believe that young people often have an underestimated capacity to tackle complex subject matter and express themselves artistically. So we try to really challenge that notion by providing them with a platform to explore social issues and really develop their voice through mature storytelling.
Wonderful. I know that you all allow them to do almost all of the work, and I've been so impressed by so much of the things that I've seen on stage that they actually go in and do the research, the writing, and so they learn so much from you and how to be a complete part of the artistic process. How can young people get involved with Cry Havoc? Do you have auditions?
Yeah.
What's required?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are actually looking now for current high school students to join our ensemble and be a part of the creation of 3 new shows that we'll have this year. So the 3 ways that you can attend one of our auditions. First, you can schedule a virtual audition by appointment at DISD schools, which is arranged by faculty. So students ask your theater teachers to help facilitate that. Or you can submit a video monologue by October 16th at 2 p.m. and I will give you the email address there in a moment. We also have in-person auditions by appointment or walk-in on October 23rd. That'll be between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at the South Dallas Cultural Center. Ultimately, you'll be asked to perform a memorized 1-minute contemporary monologue, either live or virtually, or video submission. So if you have any questions or you want to submit anything, you can do that at info@cryhavoctheater.org.
Well, that information, can we put that in the chat?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and so if there's anyone out there that needs that information, it will be in the chat later. You can get that. Hopefully you'll get auditions from there, and we welcome so many of our young people to come participate. Thank you and congratulations on your new position at Cry Havoc. We're looking forward to great things from you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'd also like to introduce to you now our next partner with the Dallas Police Department, Officer Devalon Lee, Arkansas. Hi, Devalon.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, this is not our first rodeo. We've been down this road before,
right.
And I'm so excited to be working with you again. We want to thank you and the Dallas Police Department for partnering with us to get out this really important message. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the Dallas Children's Theater and some of the programs that you work with?
Absolutely. So I was in youth outreach for about 8 years or so. And while I was there, I had a girl empowerment program and a lot of different other programs. And we had the opportunity to come to the theater to see several of the plays there. And we just had a blast, an amazing time. And I've been in the Office of Community Affairs since February. So it's my first task once I got there was to partner with you all and see how we can make this work and how we could help our kids and the youth in our city. So I've been there dealing with you all since then, and it's been exciting. It's been fun. The plays are amazing. So we've been having a great time.
Wonderful. What do you hope that some of the young people get from this?
I just feel like with art, with theater in itself, if you can learn to express yourself just with outside of 10 seconds, but just being able to express yourself in front of people, that's amazing. You can do that. You can do pretty much anything. So art, and that's like the first thing to go within the school. So they can get to Dallas Children's Theater, any theater, and just be able to get that expression and be somebody that they're really not pretending, imagining, and it just opens up so many different avenues. So I just think I want all the kids to be able to get that out, to be able to understand you can express yourself any type of way. And this opportunity is amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Devalon. And we're going to see you back in just a few minutes on our panel when we have our discussion. I appreciate you being here, and thanks again to the Dallas Police Department.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So right now, what we're going to do, we're going to have a couple of poll questions, and we're going to ask you all to participate. It will pop up on the screen. And so if Steve, if you'll put up the first poll question, please, before we get to the play. There we go. So the first poll question is, I think the best way to improve relations between law enforcement and young people of color is, and there's multiple choice, design testing that detects racial biases for those training I can't see the whole question. Well, okay, there we go. For those training to be part of law enforcement, require all police officers to spend time with diverse groups of young people on a regular basis as part of their job, make punishment for race-related crimes harsher, ensure all police officer body camera footage is immediately public, teach young people to do the do's and don'ts of dealing with the police. And we're going to give you about 2 more seconds to answer that, maybe 5. And then what we're going to do is then we'll reveal the answers. And then what I want you to think about at the end, once we watch this, think about whether or not your opinions have changed. All right. Is that enough time, Steve, you think? Everybody in?
Sure. Okay.
Great.
Give 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. So it looks like with 69%, 72% people, where were the other 28%? Hey, next time, I want all of y'all. But it looks like 69% said require police officers to spend time with diverse groups of people, young people on a regular basis as part of their job. All right, so I want you to think about that as you watch this. One of the descriptions of 10 seconds says, in a world where deeply rooted biases and misperceptions easily take hold, life can often feel unnerving. Things can change for better or worse in the blink of an eye. So as we watch that today, I want you to keep that in mind. And then once we finish the play, we will have a short 20-minute discussion with a panel. Again, if there are questions, we encourage you to put them in the chat, but know that we have a limited amount of time, so we will get to those if we can, but we'll do our best. So right now, sit back and enjoy 10 seconds. Wow. So what do you think? Well, we'll let you stew on that for just a minute. Right now, what we want to do is put up a second poll question. And as you're kind of gathering your thoughts about what you just saw, I want you to answer that. Steve, can you put up our second question, please? All right. Which of these statements resonates with you the most after watching this play? We all need to practice not jumping to conclusions, especially when there are life-threatening consequences involved. For law enforcement, the duty to protect others should always prevail over snap judgments. we should talk through possible scenarios ahead of time, especially where we know there exist historic challenges. And we have to make a commitment to building trust between law enforcement and systemically marginalized persons. Go ahead and get your answers in. All right. We will give you about 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Is that good, Steve? All right. Well, it looks like 71% of the vote is we all need to practice not jumping to conclusions, especially when there are life-threatening consequences. And that speaks a lot to sometimes to our bias as well. Well, right now, what we're going to do is get right into our discussion. So I'd like to welcome to the screen, I'd like to introduce you to our panelists as they all come on. So as they come on, I'm going to introduce you, and if you guys will kind of wave and let them know who you are. First, we have Zonika Gamble-Davis. She is with Cry Havoc. She was a student with Cry Havoc, and she right now attends Eastfield College. Hi, Zonika. All right, next we have Makenzie Greer. Where's Makenzie? Makenzie is one of our Dallas Children's Theater Youth Ambassadors. There she is, Makenzie, one of our youth ambassadors. And she also did an internship with the Dallas Children's Theater at this summer. And she is attending Jackson State University. Hey, Makenzie. All right.
Hi, how are you? I'm here.
Oh, good, okay. All right, next we have Officer, you met Officer Devalon Lee, Arkansas earlier. Hey, Devalon.
Hello, everyone.
Also joining us, Senior Corporal James Farmer with the Office of Community Affairs.
Hello.
Hi. Officer Gabriel Ortiz with the Neighborhood Police Officer. Where are you, Officer Ortiz? There you are.
I'm right here. Nice to see y'all.
Good to see you. All right, we awesome. I think, is that all? Yes. Oh, no. And I have one more person, Richard Quadri. Can't believe I did not bring you up. Hey, Richard. So I'm very pleased to say that Richard Quadri is going to, the Dallas Children's Theater will be producing this piece next spring, and we are very excited. Richard is going to be the director for this piece. So we are really glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's
be here.
Okay, great. Let's kind of jump right in, and I'm gonna throw this out just to anybody. Do you think that this was that this play was an accurate representation of what happens? I mean, I'm sure there was some artistic license. There's some little bit of artistic license taken from both sides, from community sides and from the sides of the officers. Do you see? Do you think those situations were pretty accurate?
I do. I'll answer.
Sure.
I do. I mean, for the most part, it's the judgmental part. You know, everyone has to judge, and sometimes your judgments may, be correct, may be incorrect, but that 10 seconds that we have to actually, figure things out, sometimes we may need to just slow down a little bit and try to comprehend what's actually going on and who we're dealing with as a police officer and as, a citizen.
Okay. Also, Zonika, you said that you agree. Do you think that happens? Do you find it was pretty accurate from the perspective of, say, a civilian or someone that's not an officer?
Yes, I do. I think we all just judge each other too much.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You froze up a little bit.
Wait, I'm agreeing that we all do. We're very judgmental. So,
Okay. So, have any of you had any experiences like that? Have you had personal experiences or run-ins with officers? Or have you officers had experiences where you ran into somebody where it was completely innocent, but they were just a little unruly, and you had to make that judgment call?
There's been several incidents where I'll put myself in when you mistake someone from a past experience. Like you might dealt with kids and something in the past, and in your mind you kind of get fixed. This is how kids is, and this is how I react, without taking the time to kind of understand where these kids are coming from or get to know the situation. We all a creature of habit, and we all try to compartmentalize a lot of different situations for the easiest process, but it takes us time, like in this video, to sit down and truly understand and communicate with each other so you can get a better assessment of what's truly going on versus you kind of running with your own fears and your own thoughts versus what's actually happening.
Okay.
Can I add to that, Denise?
Sure.
Just like what Officer Farmer said, I've had situations where I was just going to tell somebody something simple, not being aggressive or anything, and they were the aggressor just because that's what they were used to, you know. So it's easy to understand, to comprehend, you know, people just are defensive, you know, and it's just, I'm like, I was just gonna tell you had a nice shirt, you know, and it's just totally, why are you bothering me, you know, things like that. And it can get irritating, and it's uncomfortable for us and for, you know, those individuals as well.
Where do you think the biggest breakdown falls between community and police officers? Maybe Richard, Makenzie?
I believe that the biggest like just problem is that maybe like stereotypical things and people thinking that they can't be around these certain amount of people just because of a hateful social media like perspective of everything, rather than a lot of people getting into, like how I did, get with Officer Lee and form a paired relationship with these people. And with people not being comfortable enough to paired relationships, it makes a lot of the situations between people and citizens of the community and police officers, it makes it a lot difficult, because if I don't have a relationship with Officer Lee, then from my experiences, what I experienced with my whole ordeal with my friend losing his life, then I could have easily just hated every single police officer. But instead, I took my own approach and got in the midst of everything, and I wanted to know the difference. I wanted to know what they were learning, which formed a relationship between me and Officer Lee, where she's my mentor, and it gives me a better light. And I can talk to my friends and I'll be like, well, not all police officers are like that, because my mentor, she's amazing. She doesn't act like that towards other people. And I think that's what other people have to do. If they see a problem, fit in where you see the problem is at, so you can be the resolution instead of just an extra problem.
Okay, that's good. Richard, were you going to say something?
I mean, that was well said by Makenzie. I think I'll just piggyback on there and say, yeah, I think that things like, as she mentioned, social media, things like social media sort of help feed those snap judgments, right? We see crazy things online every single day, right? And it's able to inform my opinion of police officers, right? So when a police officer might just be stopping me to say, hey, nice sweater you got on there, I might get defensive because I don't know what that police officer is actually going to do. I might just assume, based on what I've seen online, that they have, you know, a malintent.
Well, with us being here as a group that understands that, I think both sides can say they understand that's part of the problem. How then do we communicate that to other people to get them to take those 10 seconds? What can we do as citizens? What can you do as officers to help communicate that message together, given that we know that you've got people who are going to overreact, and the citizen side, you've got maybe some officers who are going to overreact. We understand the extremes of that, but how can we get just the average everyday citizen? How can you get me, who that when I'm stopped and I'm scared, you know, I'm nervous. How can you get someone who's like me to just breathe for 10 seconds first without reacting?
I think we have to lead by example. Every case, you know, it's just individuals. I treat everybody how I want somebody to treat my mom if she has to interact with the police. You know, if I don't have any reason to be aggressive or anything like that, I'm going to treat you that particular way until you show me I need to treat you a different way. But we have to lead by example. So everyone that I come across, I try to show them how, you know, most police officers are. So if this is the only police you ever encounter, you have a good experience, but sometimes people don't, you know. Right. But we have to lead by example, and we have to take those scenarios, just like Makenzie said, the scenarios that she's involved in, her life experiences, and share those experiences, you know, because people are sharing the negative experiences as well. So we have to kind of balance them out. You know, in Office of Community Affairs, we do so much work trying to be proactive and productive, but all it takes is one incident to take away everything that we spent months working towards, you know, and it's sad.
So often too, we tend to think, and I know this play focuses on this, but I also thought it was very interesting to have a white female officer, which takes kind of, because a lot of times the stereotype or the images are usually the white cop against the white male cop against the African-American male. And we tend to think of this problem as always being a problem of Black and white. And so, Officer Ortiz, I'm gonna come to you because, well, there you go. But I do want to ask you, how do we, you know, we have to broaden that because there's also tension in the, you know, in the Latin, Hispanic and Latinx community and in the Asian community. How do we broaden this scope so that we can make all people feel comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I think that, you know, educating these people, I think a lot of things with the Hispanic community that I've kind of dealt with is that, you know, a lot of Hispanic, the community doesn't really want to deal with us too much. They, you know, we want to basically, you know, show them that we are their friends. We're not here to deport them, you know. That's kind of one of the main things. We get a lot of people that are very defensive or they run away from us just because they don't want to talk to us. So we try to hit the kids in the Hispanic community a lot just for the fact that, you know, we want to show them that we're here to be your friends. We're here to be with y'all and to show that we can be helpful for y'all and we can be your friend and notice that, you know, be a really good part of the community for y'all. So that's kind of where we hit the Hispanic community on that. It's just that we just have to show these kids. I mean, the kids are the backbone of this stuff is where it all starts. And so with the Hispanic community, we just really big about letting these kids know that we can go talk to their mom and dad. They can talk to us and you can't be afraid of us thinking that we're just going to deport you and we're not going to take you to jail just for who you are or what your color is. So that's just basically how we do in you know, just being around there and stuff like that, just trying to educate these people on who we are and that we're not just officers. We're, you know, we can be a part of the community and be friends and you can come talk to us anytime you want. So.
Okay. I want to ask, how can, is the fear of the community justified?
It is, I guess.
And I know that's a hard question. I understand, officers, and I get that.
Thing that I've kind of, you know, going with all the going on now is just that social media is what, you know, before whole social media right now, we all see, you know, we didn't see that stuff, but on social media now we see all the bad stuff.
Right.
One thing that I try to educate these people is give them examples. I don't just say, well, this is what that officer, because I'll never speak for another officer. But one thing that we've kind of, especially with community affairs and, you know, people in the neighborhood police officer units, that we try to tell these people that we can control each officer. Now, we can be helpful for that officer if we know that they're going in a bad way too. And that's kind of the accountability that kind of what DPD and, you know, the police are now working on to do, is just be accountable for your partner or your fellow officers. So I agree that being, you know, scared of a police officer and stuff like that could definitely, you know, see, just because that's what we see. I mean, there's movies, there's everything is over that. It is over the stuff that officers do bad. And I would love to say that we see, you know, all the officers that do good, you know, so
Right.
There is some great officers out there and we see the 1% of officers on social media. And so we agree what they're saying. We get kind of mad sometimes just because we know what 99% of the officers are doing out there. We know how to treat, and it's just, again, we do so much work and, you know, here and there, and then this 10 seconds could really ruin us all. So that's where it's frustrating. It's definitely a roller coaster up and down for us.
I appreciate that because I think sometimes when the community hears you just even acknowledge that what they're feeling is valid, that helps to build the bridge because it says that you hear them and that you understand. Now, let me ask on the other side as well. How do you feel and understand that the police officer, you know, had to balance in the play, you know, being the father, being an African-American man, and, you know, being a police officer, he had to balance. Can we see as civilians how that can be an issue too? And how much pressure that might put, especially officers of color, under from both sides, from the police department and from the community? What can we as community do to help build those bridges with them?
Honestly, I think that one of the things that we need to address as a public and a police department is we have to learn how to communicate a lot better in between different groups. Like he said in the video, he's a black male when he's not at work, and he's been dealing with a lot of issues that the kid has grown up with. But on the flip side is he's been working on this side also, and there's issues that within our job that we have to be able to communicate to the public so people can understand where we're coming from, and the officer can understand what other people are going through to improve our relationships. Sometimes, like I said before, we always try to put people in different groups and try to make everything simple, but nothing's simple. And all it does is we need to do is take time to be able to communicate and understand each other. I've worked in this police department for 17 years, and I've worked the places where people say the worst places in my town. But as I've grown to see it, it's nothing like how people make it out to be when you get to know the people and understand the things that they're going through. So it's easy for somebody to say this is bad, this is good, but no one really took the time to understand each other. And when you do, you get a different perspective of people in different situations.
Thank you for that. How much does peer pressure influence young people and their opinions about police officers? Maybe Zonika or Makenzie could speak to that, being, new out of school and high school. Do you think family has more of an opinion, or, has more of an impression, or does the peer? I guess the question I want to ask is, let's say that you understand what Officer Farmer just said, but you've got friends go, no, the police are bad. How much are young people influenced by their peers not to trust officers?
In my opinion, I believe that everybody is influenced by their peers, because I know, like, with my peers, they were like, well, why would you go do something like that? Why would you go literally hang out with police officers every weekend, knowing what happened to my friend Jordan? And I was just like, you have to put yourself in a situation that aligns you to form these paired relationships that could fix a lot of problems. And since social media, my generation is heavily social media based, we get a lot of false information through social media, and we just soak it up. We soak it up like a sponge for the most part, almost everybody. And with us soaking it up like a sponge, it transfers everybody's opinions, and they always get the wrong opinions about people that are actually like right for the community. Because I've been placed with people that are perfect for the community, and I always say I feel bad for people like Officer Lee and all the other officers that work for DPD, because when we see a police brutality case that happens in any city, really, I feel like it puts a damper on all the hard work that they have done, and they have to go right back out and basically gain their trust back again, even though we may have trust in them already. But I feel like they have to go back and gain their trust within everybody in the community, because it could be somebody from their department, or somebody could be looking at them and being like, well, y'all are literally all in the same field, so what's different between you and them? And I feel like all their hard work just becomes a damper to everything. So I feel like social media is the biggest problem with anything that comes with like our generation, basically.
So I guess we have to find a way to use its powers for good. Possibly do that. There's a comment in the chat that says calm is contagious. So we are all responsible for our own reactions. Being able to listen to understand instead of listening to be right can really help also. Also empathy. These can really break down any stigmas and barriers and can save lives. Any comments on that?
I saw it when it popped up, and I totally agree with that comment. We've been doing open and honest conversation for the past few months, where we go to different locations and just have conversations with people about things that are going on in their community, with the police, whatever. And we listen. We spend majority of our time just listening. And then the questions that they have, we explain them to them, things to them to make them understand why things are the way that they are. But we don't get defensive. We don't try to, make things right. We just hear them out. And that's a really big thing, is if you can listen to somebody to hear them, and then when you're hearing them, you're comprehending. Because you can, communicate all you want, but if you're not comprehending, it's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to accomplish anything. So that text that she posted was awesome.
Yeah.
If we could do that, we would, move forward so much in our life. And people don't understand that the good police officers don't like bad police officers. That's just what it is. Just like with any, profession, nobody likes the bad. We don't like the bad,
Right.
and sometimes people think that we do, or that we're going to cover up for them. I'm not covering up for anybody. And I'm sure that the other officers aren't either, because I need my pension and I don't want to go to jail myself. So that's not something that we just wake up and say, hey, I want to, cover up for somebody if they did this or that. No, that's not how it happens. I'm telling, I'm a snitch.
Also, to piggyback off what she's saying too, we've been doing this program, me and Officer Lee, for a while, this open, honest conversation. And then as everyone sits down in a manner that is calm and everybody's listening to each other, we notice there's not a big divide between the police and the community as people see on the news or through social media. Everybody wants to be treated right and fair and everything else. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to go home and feel safe. And I think, like what the young lady said earlier about social media, it kind of amplifies everybody on both ends of the spectrum where everybody gets defensive. But when everybody can kind of let their guard down and just be honest and just conversate, and it becomes a different world after you get through talking to somebody and you express their feelings and hear their feelings and they hear your feelings, and then you realize that, hey, we're actually on the same team. We just want to be treated fair and with respect. And
Right.
people walk away from it differently. But the key to all this stuff is just communicating with each other and not being drowned out by, I would say, the noise that kind of keep us at an extreme point in our feelings all the time.
Okay. I want you all to be thinking about this. We've only got a few more minutes, but I want to be able to get this. I want each of you all to have a statement, because I also want to read a comment that's in the chat. But be thinking about this. What is it that we need from community and from police officers? What's one thing that each of us can do to help magnify this type of interaction, to make this more the prominent type of interaction than just the negative things? How can we be better about building bridges, whether they're activities? How do we get more people to come out for police and community activities? How do we amplify these types of activities in order to make things better? And then Devalon, I also wanted you to share, I know before you talked about being the mother of an African-American son and how that makes you feel, and being on both sides of that. So that people understand that while, you are an officer, you still have these fears, but you still believe in the system that you serve. So let me read this comment, and then Devalon, if you'll address that, and then we'll go around and get everybody's comment. So the comment in the chat says, and this is a question for you all, do you feel that this play can actually make a difference in creating better communication between police and young people? And so in your comment to me, if you'll kind of answer if you think that's yay or nay. So Devalon, will you share first a little bit just about, being the mother of a son? I think
Absolutely.
you shared that before, and I got wonderful feedback from that.
So I have two sons. I have a 3-year-old, and I also have a 17-year-old that's now a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And he started driving a couple of years ago. And the conversations that I've had with him about life in general has always been, you're a young Black boy. You're going to always be Black. There's nothing that you can do. And there are certain things and certain conversations that we have to prepare him for life. So even when he got his driver's license, we had a scenario of, if he got pulled over, what he's supposed to do. And we've been talking about it for years. But my friends, some of my friends that are white, I posted something on Facebook, and they couldn't believe that these are the conversations that I have to have with my young Black son that's so amazing and so perfect in their eyes. And he is, but these are the conversations that I have to have. He likes to go jogging. We go on vacation. He runs track. He wants to go jogging in different neighborhoods. But we all know that that's not going to happen. And he's not allowed to, because there are so many things that could happen with him jogging in different neighborhoods. Now in our neighborhood, he can go jogging all day long. He can go running all day long, but he has certain attire that he can wear. He can't wear a hoodie, that's crazy. He can't wear a hoodie. He can't wear a muscle shirt, which he rarely wears, but there are things that he can't do because I don't want him to look like a suspect. I don't want him to fit that basic description. And it's sad, but it's reality. And those things could keep him alive. I mean, that's just what it is. That's the truth. It's sad, but it's true. And I know so many amazing police officers, but obviously there are officers out there that are doing things that they should not do. And until we can regulate that and get that under control, these are the things that I have to tell my son and my son's friends that all look like him. And that's reality for me. So I don't want people to think that it's not reality. It is. I feel the same way, and I'm a police officer, and that's one of the hardest things to do. But I choose to do this because I want to be the difference. I want to make a difference. I want to be able to, you know, show others how they're supposed to treat other people that may or may not look like them. So that's why I'm here. I'm from Dallas, born and raised, but I came back to Dallas. I couldn't be a police officer anywhere, but I wanted to be in Dallas because I wanted to be that influence within this department. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Okay, you know, we've got a short amount of time left, but there's a comment, and I ask you all to think about this. So we're gonna do this really quickly, but I really want to address this comment, which might be a little controversial, but I think it's important to address, and then I'll give everybody a final comment, whatever it is you're going to say. The comment is, I gotta ask, y'all talking about how do we get along and communicate, but is there any way of easing the power dynamic that inherently puts cops over the community? I think the issues with communication stem from the fact that people find it tough to talk to a person openly carrying the gun.
You want us to answer you?
Well, I mean, or for instance, okay, I'll even start. I mean, understanding that officers have to carry guns. That's part of what your job is. So it's about us. I think we have to then put in that mindset, know that that's what you're there for. And you carrying a gun is not necessarily a definition of what, I mean, it doesn't make you who you are, the person that you are. How about we go to the other side and just speak to that, Richard or Zonika or Makenzie, just briefly. I mean, is there truth to that? And I understand there's a power system involved.
Denise, before
yes.
they get started, but please realize we're in Texas where almost everybody has a gun.
I was about to say right now,
Yeah.
you're gonna find it pretty hard to talk to anybody soon because everybody, unfortunately, you know. And I think there's a lot of skepticism. There's another comment, I believe understanding from both sides is the key for better relations. Officers need to understand the skepticism from some members of the community, and members of the community need to understand that there are some bad cops and some good cops that are just doing their job. And so I wanted to be sure that we read these comments from the community so people know that we are hearing them. Somebody says, I hope we all learn from this play. Yes, a play like this should make a person stop and think. So let's go around real quick, and you just get lucky enough that I'm gonna go from left to right on my computer. Richard, you're first. Give us your thoughts on just one thought, what people should take away from this and how we can help to build a bridge.
Okay, I think that we have to be willing and able to have open and honest dialogue and conversation. I know that officers do quite a lot of community outreach, right? But I can say that I haven't actually really ever experienced in my 30 years of living in Dallas. I haven't experienced any of that. And I know, gosh, how do you get to all of the people in Dallas? But I think there's gotta be a way, yeah, for us to literally sit in, right now, like I can tell that obviously Officer Farmer and Officer Ortiz are real people, right? But before this conversation, I don't know that I would have had that judgment, right? So I think we really gotta be able to sit and talk and break bread together and actually, you know, get to know each other, definitely.
Sounds good. Officer Ortiz.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my last comment is that I definitely would agree with him on that. It's just that that's what we're really passionate about. We're passionate about showing that not all cops are bad and knowing that we're here for y'all. We're not here just to see what you see on social media. We're here to, you know, be a part of the community, kind of see who we are and not just as an officer, as a friend, and show that we're here to make you safe and be a part of the community for y'all. So.
Okay, thank you. Zonika? Just a quick little 30-second.
Okay, y'all are really cutting up over here. I barely hear a lot of things y'all say.
Uh-oh.
But I agree with both of them or what they said about that. We just need to have open communication with each other and just take that step. And I know it's a big leap, but we have to make a better change.
Thank you. Makenzie.
I believe the perception of believing that if someone is going through a police brutality situation, that you would immediately jump the gun to help them because you will get stuck. So the perception of thinking that you will actually just go out and like be hands-on with the situation, it's kind of an unrealistic thought.
Okay. Devalon?
Makenzie, you just made me forget what the question was.
Just your last word, your last thought. How do we build bridges?
I think like everybody else is saying, communication, just taking the time to listen and taking the time to really accept people for who they are and the differences that they have will make us, you know, be able to figure it out and work together as a community.
Okay. Officer Foreman.
Yes, ma'am. We already expressed, I always think communication is the key to fixing a lot of things, but I also tell officers and the public to get involved with each other. We, like Mr. Richards said earlier, that that's all we do at our department between me and Officer Lee is go out in these neighborhoods to get the public involved with the police department. We ask the public to get in our business, hold us accountable, hold yourself accountable. And this thing could work a lot better in that case, because, you know, if people start holding each other accountable and communicating, our relationships will be totally different. And I think we need to kind of fix our relationship by doing these little things.
Okay. I thank you all so much for being part of this discussion. I'm very excited for this play to be produced here. Richard, you got your hands full, my friend, but I'm excited for the work that's going to happen. We hope that we can bring you all back and be part of the discussions that we'll have when we bring this in the spring. Thank you again so much for giving your time and for all you do in the community and for all of you all being here and the questions that were submitted by the audience. I appreciate that. So we got a couple of more things before we go. Thank you all, and I will see you all soon. Right now, I'd love to bring to the screen Mar Howard. Mar is the Dallas Children's Theater co-chair for the Social Justice Initiative that we have here. Hey, Mar, how are you?
I'm great, Denise. How are you this evening?
I am great. I understand you have a few things you'd like to share with us.
Yes. As a lot of you may know, my name is Mar Howard. I am the co-chair of the Social Justice Initiative. And DCT kicked off the Social Justice Initiative just a little over a year ago. So I want to fill people in on what we've been up to so they can know what's going on with us. But first and foremost, it's been an honor to be a part of this organization, to be part of the foundation of what this social justice is going to do. It's been a blessing to myself and my children. My family is involved in the conversation. So it's been a great builder to help us understand the community and the world around us.
Great. I mean, this has been such an incredible experience from the very beginning with all of the plays that we've been able to produce and the conversations and how many people.
Absolutely. And having the presentation means a lot. So to have visuals of Officer Devalon and the other officers, they can see the reflection of themselves in the community. I think that was a very important thing that may be overlooked, but just having that visual. And like Ray said in the play, you know, this is our scene 7. So we're a part of the solution here in scene 7.
Right. Great. Well, I thank you for being here with us and sharing stuff with us. I also want to remind people, and you see on the screen too, that the plays that we produced earlier in this are still available, I believe, on the Dallas Children's Theater's website. If you go to dct.org,
absolutely,
and you can see that they were free and they help you to be able to talk to your children about race, to be able to get those conversations started, to prepare them to have those conversations in the community. Mar, thank you for taking on this initiative and helping to bring it to fruition. I am just honored to work with you on it, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in the future.
Doing great things. I have one quick thing I wanted to share with you guys, though.
Absolutely.
We've been able to share, along with 45 of our other sister theaters, a new play, a kid play against racism. The DCT has also been given the rights to produce 3 short plays by Idris Goodman, which were really great plays. If you haven't seen them, please check them out. We've screened them along with our groups, with our talkback groups, and got great success from our children, and the community has been great. Along the way, we've been able to share our plays with a number of different partners, including the and Girls Club of Collin County, Green Hill School, First Unitarian Church of Dallas, the Dallas Police Department, of course, Hockaday School, United Way, Dallas, Women of Tocqueville Group, Lake Highlands area moms and more against racism, and many other groups. So our message is spreading around and we're getting around to everyone.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think somebody just put the link in the chat. So if you want some information about, if you want that information about how to see some of the things we're doing, you go to that link.
We've reached over 6,200 viewers and participation so far.
Wow.
And our talkbacks are doing just as well, where it's close to 1,600 talkback participants during the past months as well. So
and
this is making a great
impact. From
impact.
that is going to be amazing.
It is.
Because when we reach one and then they reach someone else. So we can change this world one conversation at a time. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Mar. I appreciate it. We're going to do great things. Right now, I would love to, as we close the evening out, I want to bring to the screen Grand Dame, Robyn Flatt. And as Robyn comes to the screen, I want to also thank our partners, the Dallas Police Department, Cry Havoc. Thank you all for partnering with us to bring this together. Am I seeing Miss Robyn? Are you there?
I think I'm there.
There you are.
Thank you, Denise.
Miss Robyn, this has been a wonderful evening. And again, I thank all of the people who have come. Share some wonderful things with us, ma'am.
Well, we had a fabulous group of respondents in the chat. I think this was just a superlative group of participants this time. And I also, of course, I'm so grateful to DPD for being so friendly with us and helping, because I think this is a powerful piece. And we're so honored that we're going to have the opportunity to produce it in the spring. But I want to all of this wouldn't be happening if it weren't for Imagination Stage in Bethesda, Maryland, and for the fabulous work they've done over a couple of years to develop the piece. And also I want to thank Children's Theatre Foundation of America for their wisdom in funding the development of the piece, because that has been instrumental, I think, in bringing it to life. And also the way I happen to know about it. So a big thank you to everyone involved. Let's keep up the work, keep up the conversations. These are vital, and I hope we'll have lasting impressions and lasting value.
And I think they posted tickets go on sale October 4th.
Oh, that's right. So you can start purchasing your tickets to the show October 4th, which is coming up very, very soon.
So this has been a wonderful evening. I hope that you all have learned or heard something that you can take out and share and amplify this message so that we can continue the good work of the community and the police department. I thank you for being here, and we will see you next time. Good night.